Peace and blessings to everyone abroad. My name is Jeremiah. I want to thank y'all so much for joining us tonight on this wonderful Friday night live broadcast. First,
Yes,
I'd like
sir.
to introduce my panel. First, we have Ezra representing Missouri branch.
Peace,
Uh,
everybody. Peace.
we have Cameron representing Atlanta.
Peace.
And then we have Levi as well representing Atlanta.
Peace.
All
Peace.
right.
Peace.
Again, I want to thank y'all so much for coming out tonight and attending this wonderful broadcast that we have. We have some heavy hitters on the panel tonight. And so today we are talking about the need for an Israelite woman. And this is a topic that has many layers. And this is brought to you by our young lions, from a young lion perspective, our young men perspective in the nation. And this has many layers. Again, we're attacking the topic of the need for an Israelite woman, the role of the Israelite woman, and the role of the husband and wife in an Israelite relationship, also, and the pros and cons of dealing with women outside of the nation as well. This is
Mhm.
a touchy topic. This is also a very important topic to have within our men in Israel.
I agree.
Mhm. I
Amen.
agree. Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, if without further ado, I'd like for us to go to our next slide, please. All right, the need for an Israelite woman. All right, so yeah, today we will tackle the importance of an Israelite woman and their role, the roles between an Israelite husband and wife in marriage, and why we as young men should marry within our nation, and pros and cons in dealing with women outside of Israel.
Mhm.
This is a really, really meaty, rich topic that we will be touching on. So please be prepared for the fires, the sevens in the chat. You know, make some noise in the chat. All right, so we can go to the next slide. All
I was not expecting to see his face.
right, all right. So let's think. Examples, characteristics. What comes to mind when we think of an Israelite woman?
I think
Well,
most-
Before we answer, I'm sorry, before we answer, uh, our family in the chat, please comment, put your characteristics, put your examples in the chat, flood the chat. Let's see your thoughts. All right, panel, you can go ahead.
So to me, when I think of Israeli woman, I feel like I would say like passionate. You know what I'm saying? Like they're no
Mhm.
pusher. Like they're gonna let you know what they think.
Okay. I think that's a good one, Cameron. Passion. Um, I think to expand upon that, I'd say there's like because I feel like they might show it in different ways, but I say strength even, and I think that can be shown in many ways, like not just physical, although it has been before, but also spiritually, like incredibly spiritually strong, and mentally and emotionally as well. So I think there's just a strength that I think Israelite women have shown in the Bible and then the ones I know. So
Right.
yeah.
Also, oh,
uh, let me get mine there real quick. I would also say let's say creative. I would say that's one of the characteristics that come to mind because one story I think of is going all the way back to Rebecca and how she made sure that Isaac was the one who got the blessing. Or no, it was
Mm,
Jacob. My bad. My bad. It
Yeah.
was Jacob. He
yeah,
made sure that he got the blessing. So that's just one thing I think of creative and how they're able to think of, maybe just come at things at different angles that you wouldn't
Mm,
yourself think up of. I don't know if I'm saying that
yeah.
right, but yeah.
I agree with that. I think there's a lot of stories like that. But yeah, creative. Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna
also,
say stubborn. And
Mhm.
as far as being a stubborn servant to the God of Israel, I think that's you see that uh, a lot of times within the woman in the Bible. You see Esther, you see Hannah, you see a lot of women. You see Ruth, who wasn't an Israelite woman, but she
Mhm.
saw Naomi and she followed her and she said, "No, I want to take this God. I want to praise this God." And the God of Israel saw that and she blessed him and he blessed her for that. So yeah, it's definitely a stubborn servant. I think that's definitely a good characteristic.
Another one I like to jump off the point Ezra made a while ago about strength and stubbornness for you as well, Jeremiah. I think patience is one as well, uh, especially when it comes to like the pregnancies and you know it they need a lot of patience. To be an Israelite woman, I feel like that's one of the main requirements. The day to days, and interacting with others, of course. God knows even.
I think that's interesting, Cameron, because talk about patience. I think when you talk about even the structure of the family of the Israelite family, it's almost like when you're waiting on God for answers and for direction, it requires that extreme amount of patience because it doesn't move at the pace that you think that it should, or that even the pace that maybe you would want to creatively create it and like maneuver it that way, or that's the way you've always seen it happening. Like oftentimes those ideas have to kind of get broken a little bit, and I think we see that kind of happen sometimes. But so yeah, I think the patience is definitely one.
No, definitely, and that's a huge that's you emphasize that really well as far as the importance of that, patience, and you see that with a lot of the women in the Bible as well. We're gonna touch on those topics as well. So I guess we can go on to the next slide. All right, so we're starting off strong, man. Hannah and Samuel. Does anyone want to read? Want to take this?
I don't know.
All right, let's go, man.
All right. Verse 6. And her adversary also provoked her sore, for to make her fret, because the Lord had shut up her womb. And she was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto the Lord, and wept sore. And she vowed a vow, and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then will I give unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. And it came to pass, as she continued praying before the Lord, that Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken.
Right. Thank you, Levi. And as you can see, Hannah, she was barren. She couldn't give birth, and that's that takes patience in itself. Not being able to give the God of Israel a son, and I think that that kind of cultivates already like wanting to love for the wanting to love for the God of Israel. I feel like I think that cultivates that, and you can see just the strength of an Israelite woman, but also the selflessness, the wanting to be better and to give the vow for her. I think it takes a lot of strength and humility. Sure.
Also, I'd like to add, I like to sub out the word stubborn because of negative connotation. I feel like a better word for it is determination, or because when I read that scripture just now, that's what I hear. Like, she came with a woman with a plan. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Like, she was like, "Know what? I want a baby, so I'm gonna do anything in my power. I'm gonna give this baby up to God of Israel." If anything else, I mean, like, what else? Like, case closed. Honestly, like that is like the top tier. Like, she is the example, almost, Hannah.
No facts.
What I
And I think also
even like jumping off on that, what I think was really cool is how like even in that just like short expert, you kind of saw all those aspects that we talked about. Strength, the determination, the faith, the passion. Here's Hannah in a position where others are mocking her because she's unable to give birth, but despite all those struggles she's going through, she's still determined, she's still patient, she still has her faith, and she's so passionate to the point where words can't even describe the level of prayer she's in, to where the point Eli even thinks she's drunk, So I just think that that's just so amazing how you can see all of those aspects highlighted. And even got people in the comments mention that Tony Walker said faith and patience. Like, yeah, you see it.
Right. And I think it's also funny because you know how people say like people may laugh at you because they don't see the vision, or whatnot, like they can't see the vision. And so Hannah was tunnel vision. She didn't care what Eli was saying, or are you drunk? What are you doing? No, she was determined. She rented her clothes. She was passionate. She wanted a son. And Cam, I know you said determination instead of stubbornness, but I feel like she wasn't getting off that path of wanting. She prayed, petitioned our God, and He delivered. But
Yeah.
we're gonna continue. You have anything
I
else?
think the thing to add to that, I think Levi touched on it too. But I think also the thing to add to that is it's the faith. Yep, Korean just said it too, faith. It's the fact that even despite like circumstance, you know what I mean? Like the circumstance is that her womb is just doesn't work or it's shut off, you know? That's just a circumstance. If we were to go to the doctor today, that's just a circumstance. You know what I mean? But it's just the idea that her faith is stronger than the circumstance, you know? And in order for that to exist, it means that her belief in this great God of ours is that great, because almost like the God of Israel can't even provide you a blessing, you know, without you even having that faith in the ability to receive the blessing, you know? So I think that is just I think that's one of the most powerful pieces, or one of the most powerful parts of Hannah's story is the fact that it's a defiance against nature. And it's not the only time that we've seen that. Like we've seen it with even like Abraham, but I still think that it's just very interesting when God of Israel chooses to do that. And then we also know who this little boy becomes, which is also very important as well.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to give a spotlight to Xavier Brown, who did mention a comment and said, I see Hannah here executing devotion, honoring a promise made to the God of Israel. And yes, that's something that you want to look forward into in a woman, you know, as a potential partner, someone that keeps their promises to the God of Israel, you know, that honors that and respects God, fears God. So yes, I
And
agree.
even in just kind of a relationship sense in general, you kind of want someone who's going to put that same devotion into a relationship that you're going to want to put into a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Great connection.
Also, another thing I like to add to devotion, like as like a real life example, I feel like when people pay their tithes, because you know people out here struggling and stuff, and but you know you giving your 10%, you know, even though that you know it might be a little tight for you, I feel like that's a show of faith to the God of Israel that you know everything will be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like um and I feel like just that alone could be like a test for you. You know, so like. Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No, yeah, no, most definitely. And so I guess we can go on to the next slide. But before we do, we're already starting off strong, man. I mean, we're dropping some jewels already. It would be greatly appreciated if we get some fires, some sevens in the chat, flooded, actually, flooded. We want to see the fire chat burning. You know what I'm saying? So yes, go on to the next slide, moderator, please. And I believe we're continuing into Samuel. Are we going?
There
Yeah, there we go. And Hannah answered and said, No, my lord, I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant thee thy petition, that thou hast asked of him. And she said, Let thine handmaid find grace in thy sight. So the woman went her way and did eat, and her countenance was no more sad. And they rose up in the morning early and worshipped before the Lord and returned and came to their house to Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. The Lord remembered her. Wherefore it came to pass when the time was come, about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son and called his name Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of the Lord. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him that he may appear before the Lord and there abide forever. And as you can see, Hannah is keeping the law, keeping the law. And that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see in a future and a potential wife, someone that honors the God of Israel's law, statutes, and commandments when it comes to your child. And
Especially,
you see where Samuel, what Samuel did in his day, what
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
do.
Also, just the fact that she, can you put the verse back up? But just the fact that she um kept that vow, like the vow that she made before that she went into it. It's like, if you give me this, then I will give you this, right? And we see her in that last verse, verse 22, where she says, like, no, I'm not going to go up. I'm going to take care of the child up until he doesn't need me anymore. And as soon as he doesn't need me, he's gone. He's not mine anymore, you know? And I think that is just so beautiful, because oftentimes in today's age, it's so hard for people to sometimes think that way, because you feel like once you get something, it's like, oh, well, it's mine, and
Yeah,
you feel like it's yours. But it's just it's that willingness of like, this is the promise that I made, and she delivers on it. And I thought that was very interesting. And then I also thought the other thing that's interesting was the fact that in verse 18, when it says she went her way and then she ate and her countenance was no more sad. I think that is like crazy. Because like, in order to, like, if you have ever been in like a bad place in your life, or you just need to vent, or maybe you need to cry something out, like you have different moments in life like that.
yeah,
And like sometimes you have moments of realization. Let's say you have one of those combos that really changes your perspective, like drastically, right? Whenever you have one of those moments, oftentimes it like something fills your spirit again, and you're like, okay, there's hope. Like hope just comes back into you,
yeah,
and then it just gives you that strength. And so I think that just shows her faith, because that prayer gave her all the hope she needed. Like she said, at this point, I gave it up to God. I'm confident. No matter what happens, no matter what happens.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And the fact that she ate too, like you can't even eat when you're not feeling right. So that's how you know she's feeling right.
Absolutely. No, that's a beautiful point. Beautiful
even
connection.
just when you look at because like I said, I think Ezra has made some great points. Her faith in the God of Israel and just an overall understanding of the culture. She understands that when it comes to these situations, it takes patience, and like at some point that all you can do is pray to your God of Israel, and then the rest is just up to him. And like you said, I think that once she was finally able to vent and let all that out, that cloud that was hanging over her was kind of like lifted, because she knew that it's in God's hands now. So who better to take care of me? And then just her complete understanding of the law, like we mentioned, those are great traits that you want to look for in a wife, someone who's going to follow the law to a T.
Right.
Understand that when you make a promise to the God of Israel, it's a promise. You can't go back on that.
Yeah.
No playing around. There's no toting that other line. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you make one when you're in that moment of despair. Like when you're in those moments, those are the ones that like you really got to stand on.
Right. Like when you feel kind of like a bit desperate, or you're
exactly, back against the wall.
Yeah,
like you need it.
You have to remember that when after you're done, after she was done eating,
after that battle's done.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You
got to stand on. Yeah, you got to stand on that business that you brought to the God of Israel. We're making some good connections, man. Let's continue burning that chat, and let's continue to move on, Mr. Moderator. All right, yeah. So we move on to the origins of Samson. All right, Judges 13. All right, and we know Samson, man. We know Samson. That's our brother right there. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and bare not. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman and said unto her, Behold now, thou art barren and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. So here, right, like it's already setting up, it's already cultivating that vessel, you know, for Samson. But it's already cultivating that spiritual vessel to where you know, it can be fit for the angel of God, and it can be fit to be a Nazarite. It's already cultivating that spiritual I'm trying to think of the word, that spiritual foundation, you know.
Mhm.
I think that's beautiful right there. Already setting up that force field. You know, this is a
Mhm.
special baby. God of Israel he's meticulous. He has a perfect plan, and he wants it to be executed to a T because he has a mission for Samson.
Mhm.
So let's continue. Verse 6. Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, a man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told he me his name. But he said unto me, behold, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and thou drink no wine, nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death. Uh,
Mhm.
Definitely recommend everyone to read the rest of this chapter if you haven't already. This is a beautiful story on how the origins of Samson, and you can see the trust that Manoah's wife has in Manoah has in his wife, and the trust that the relationship all like all over. You know, it's a beautiful thing. Do you have anything else to add regarding to this scripture?
Also, I love how like the repeated theme was having a plan and executing that plan.
Right, from beginning to end. You know, from
Yeah.
because
And
it's
I think
funny.
another,
I'm sorry, because
no, go.
yeah, no, because he says it. I believe it's verse 4. Yeah. Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing. The baby's not even conceived yet, so it's before, you know, it's
Mhm.
before that even happened. So it's already setting it up. No,
Preparation.
we trying to get this plan out
Yeah,
of here.
yeah,
Meticulous. God was very meticulous. He's paying attention to detail. No,
yeah.
we
Mhm.
need this up prior to even it's before it's even conceived. So I
You
think
got,
that's in
you
itself.
know, it's like if you have like a, if you have a, you have like chicken, you
Mhm.
could cook the chicken or you could let it marinate. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mm.
like it's that same like you setting up something for something even more special. You know,
Right.
um,
See what
that's
you're
just
cooking.
a little something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been cooking recently,
I see what
but
you're
no, but 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 really though, I think it's very interesting because we see the same type of dilemma in this story with the birth of Samson, as we saw in the birth of Samuel. And besides just their names having similar sound, the another another similarity I think is in the way that the God of Israel works. It's almost like it's those moments of it's like he truly makes the impossible possible. He truly like makes the down, the up. So you know it's him. And
right.
then not only are you sure that it's him, but it's like it's almost like the greatest things come out of it. Like as far as the importance of both these men, it's like the greatest things come out of like the biggest like that shouldn't happen or like how did that happen or you know.
Right.
Um, I thought that I just think that's very interesting. And in both scenarios, the God of Israel doesn't choose to communicate with the husband, but the God of Israel specifically is communicating with the wife, you know,
And
because that is the nurture of the child.
and if I could even jump off on that, just the amount of like how Jeremiah was saying with the being meticulous, that's something you can even see in our culture today with how our Israelite women, when they're going through a pregnancy, there's certain things that they have to follow, certain rules that they have to follow to ensure that baby's spirituality. So it takes all the things we've been talking about, dedication, being meticulous and aware of every little thing, got making sure you're checking what you're eating, got to make sure you're not doing the wrong thing and staying on that straight and narrow path so that your child can come out the best way physically and spiritually.
Right.
So that level of responsibility, that's something you really have to look forward to or look for when you're searching for a woman, especially when in Israel. And
Right.
then I just
Um.
feel like Manoah's wife in this instance is such a great example because she understands the message, understands that it's one from God specifically, and then is able to repeat it word for word, bar for bar.
Mhm.
And
Right.
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
dedicated. She knows it's
Yeah.
serious. Just like how Hannah took her promise with the God of Israel serious.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's no joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I'd like to add what Edge was saying. Like, um, there's almost numerous examples in the Bible about how God of Israel, when he gets involved, he put his stamp on it so that so there's no confusion. There's nothing but clarity, you know, involved. And that's another thing, of course, I'm, highly thankful for. And that's another reason why, I feel like it's really easy to have faith in him. And it leads to, people like Hannah, people like Sonora, people like Deborah, people like Esther, that that can display a devotion to the God of Israel because what he has done, and they haven't forgotten.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And I think another piece of it to add on to that devotion, it's like it's the undeniability. It's like not only is the impossible done, but even in the way that it was communicated to the wife, it's like she's not just gonna wake up from that dream thinking like la 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 la. It's like she can't just go out with her day and just ignore what just occurred. It's like that communication was so clear that it's like now to not follow is just complete blasphemy. So and then another interesting thing, if you can put the verses back up, but another interesting piece I think is also the fact that it says that when she saw him, a man of God came up to me. When she's explaining it to her husband, and that the angel of God was very terrible, like the countenance. And oftentimes when we think of like the movies and you think about like, an angel of God, you're thinking it's gonna be like this real beautiful like moment, like but it's not that. Like it was actually something extremely terrifying, to receive such a message. But I just once again the fact that message came onto the woman, I think is just very important because it shows the spiritual strength of the woman, in order to execute the plan that God has for this son.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. There's a few comments that I know was spotlighted. I know I see Xavier Brown. It's important when the God of Israel gave instruction for an unborn child, especially in the case of a barren wife, been obedient to the instruction if to the God of Israel is paramount. Yeah, no, absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then we have another one from Felicia Singleton. A barren woman is going to be even more gracious for the gift of the child and follow the instructions to the letter. Yeah, of course. That I agree with that. You absolutely, because they may not get this chance again, And they're gonna follow to the T. And the God of Israel is just, he's a mastermind. He's a mastermind. And he knows what to do, man. It's a great point. Great point.
Even Ezra was mentioning how like normally the circumstances you're not allowed to have children. So the fact that you were able to have a children entirely, it's a miracle. That's just what it is. It's a big miracle.
It's a miracle.
And
when you have miracles, you have to show thankfulness for that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, I would like to add, as Israel, I've been in Israel for quite a while now, and I have, lived with other Israelite women. And when it comes to the Passover, the Sabbaths, making the bread, they follow to the T. And especially if I'm making the bread, they stressing me out. I'm like, did you do this? Did you put the flour in? Make sure there's no yeast in it. Did you, like. We appreciate that. I'd like to say to all the mothers and aunties out there, we appreciate you, okay?
Absolutely.
But I fall to the T, boy, better not mess with them.
Yeah. No, they follow to the T.
It's that passion. It's passion for God. They don't mess around.
Shout out to the mother.
They don't, and I think that's the power. I think that's a piece, and I think we're going to actually get into that. But that's another piece of it. I think it's just the fact that we know the power that a woman just has, right? She just has this emotional, spiritual presence. And when it's on your side for your God, towards your purpose, towards your passion, like that's just a powerful person in your side, like on your side, but they can be just as powerful on the other side as well. So that's I really like that point, Cameron, because that to the T-ness, it's like that's beautiful, because it's all a part of our culture.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and we have another highlighted comment from Kareen. All the Israelite women that were barren were chosen by the God of Israel to have specific sons that the God of Israel wanted to choose for a specific role, task for the people. Yeah, no, Exactly. If you really go back into the Bible, you can see there's a handful of barren women who gave birth to either kings, leaders, our forefathers, things like that. So yeah, absolutely, great point. Great point. Um, all right, I think we can go on to our next slide. We're having some great discussions. Oh, we made it to a checkpoint. Okay, so so
Mhm.
far we've learned the significance of our Israelite women. Let's give them a round of applause for our Israelite women. Give
Get some
that
fires in the chat.
man, y'all, hey man, y'all killing it, man. Y'all killing it. But yes, we went over the significance of our Israelite women, the impact that they have on our children, which is we can't ignore, we have to admire that. That's paramount because if we're going to build this nation, if we're going to grow this nation. So the impact that they have on our children, the willingness to follow God's instructions, which is also paramount, and the selflessness to do right in God's eyes. Man, that's
Mhm.
beautiful. All right,
Mhm.
so we made it to the checkpoint. Give yourself a round of applause.
Mhm.
Fire in the chat, sevens, burn up the chat. We're gonna keep going though. Let's go to the next slide. Let's go to the next slide, man. All right. So I know we said uh we want to stress the fact that dating within our nation is important. So dating today as an Israelite, what obstacles are there today that we will come across? How do we prepare ourselves? And what should we keep in mind? Does anyone want
Mhm.
to attack this?
Mhm. I think it's very interesting because I think that there are many obstacles that we face today, and um, I think very similar to what it says in that corner, the building and learning. I think that is important to mention because we are building and learning this when it comes to not only our own spirituality but this nation as well. So I think it is important that we have the discussion because if there's not an unlimited amount like back in the days of David and Solomon and Samuel and all that. There's an unlimited, not unlimited, but you have, a country full, and
Mhm.
so keeping that culture on the inside. It could be more natural, but now we live in the melting pot, quote unquote, the Americas, the new Egypt. So it makes it tougher, and that is a part of I think what makes it challenging
Yeah,
is that we are in this melting pot and that we have to figure out how to maintain ourselves and maintain our spirituality
right.
amongst this big grand amount of cultures that all influence the way we think and move. So I think there's a lot to consider when it comes to that topic.
And I think Ezra,
Also,
you
I'd
made
like
a.
to add.
I was just gonna say, Ezra, you made a good point about keeping spirituality in mind. I think when it comes to dating, that should always kind of be at the forefront of things, especially with, like you said, in this multitude. We have to understand that the culture on the outside is not the same culture that we have inside. We'll probably get more into that later on, but you always have to keep in your mind your spirituality, who you are, what are your values, and I feel like if those are at the forefront, it's going to help you find that right partner for you. That's just me
Yeah,
personally.
Mhm.
I agree.
Also, I'd like to add. I don't. You probably won't go into this later on, but of course, you're in the world, but you're not of the world.
Mhm.
Um, so like even with the day to day things, like um, like when it comes to dating or whatever, even with friends, even like you can't do
Mhm.
certain things with certain friends on certain days like that.
Mhm.
Not yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the whole lesson. So
No, I agree with that, Cameron. I think that it really extends kind of to that point, because if you really think about even like a David, it's like his closest friends, the people in his army, everyone he associates with, they're all like in that. So they all have the same mindset, But it's like today, it does. I think it truly does extend to friendship, It's like the same way how when we have friendships It's like there are things in which you have to maybe go your separate ways sometimes, or I think differently on that, or I don't participate in that, or we don't do that. And you have to be bold and firm with those things, because that's the only way that someone's going to generally respect you, and that's the only way that you're going to respect yourself, like as an Israelite. So I think the same way how it works for friendship, it works for relationships as well.
Absolutely.
Also, another point to that, I feel like just the key word today seems to be paramount. It's paramount today to have like a strong will. It's paramount to have a strong will in with yourself. I'd be unapologetic. You gotta be, as an Israelite, you have to be comfortable having conversations. Like, say for instance, you want to hang out with somebody, yeah, we'll just link up to your house, but you gotta make sure they don't got an urn or some ashes there.
Yeah.
Make sure that they don't have like a grave in the backyard. You know what I mean? Like, some any type of foolishness.
Yeah.
Even like dating somebody. Yeah, like I can't. We can't go to the sushi shop because they just sell nothing but crabs and shrimp. Like I can't eat that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I even like what comes to mind is even like Jezebel and King Ahab in that entire situation, because we're probably going to get into more examples of this later, but like Ahab, to me, the way he describes it just seems like such a weak-willed man who was easily being manipulated by this outside woman. That is an example of what you don't want. This guy was the king of Israel too, and he's just being easily manipulated because he wasn't putting who he is as an Israelite at forefront. He was doing all sorts of things just to please this woman who wasn't even in his family, wasn't in the nation. So
Absolutely.
I feel like that's one thing we have to remember to keep in the forefront of our minds, is just putting our spirituality first, being vocal about that, and putting your foot down. If you can't do something because you're an Israelite, you say that proudly with your chest. It is what it is.
Yeah. And I think those are the distinctions that make you who you are. Like if you don't make those distinctions, then who are you?
Right.
Like it's just like it's just like Psalms 1. You're just moving with whatever. But what makes us Israel is the fact that we have a culture, and that this is the culture that we live by.
Right. And those are really great points that we've covered as well. I know I want to spotlight some comments. I know I've seen Rachel, and I've seen Felicia Singleton. Yeah, so being Americanized to an extent, thinking love should be the first priority when it should be the nation and what the union would bring to the nation. Absolutely. When I think of that, I think of, there's no one in the Bible that I can think of that prioritized love over, the nation. When I of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they had a mission. They all had missions to do. God of Israel gave them missions to do, and they weren't, they weren't trying to prioritize, the love. They were trying to make the God of Israel happy. Like Isaac, he tried to, he did some things, made some sacrifices, just to push on the Abraham seed. So I feel like, yeah, absolutely, Felicia.
You don't think Jacob did?
Well, I think
that's a little different though, because think about how important that situation was.
Yeah.
And I'll also say that two things about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, since we're going into the forefathers, right? So when you think about it, I don't think they've ever, like, at least when you look at Abraham, like when God originally spoke to Abraham and said, "You're going from boom to boom. This is what you're going to do. You are now my friend." That's what he told Abraham. And Abraham is like, "This is what we're doing, Sarai. This is what we're doing. Like this is how we're going to move because this is God's will. And it's that same stance. And and there's moments where she is not happy. Like she is genuinely not happy with things, and she doesn't want it to go like this. She don't believe in this. She don't think she could ever get pregnant. Like these are real emotions that I think are so important to add, because these are our grandfathers. Like this is our family. So these are real emotions that these people are going through. I think there are moments like that, but in those moments, remembering your spirituality is the most important piece. And knowing that if you know that you're on this path, that the God of Israel is going to make sure that it works out, If
I can even because what you just said, there's like how if you're on this path, the God of Israel is going to make it work out. we got to understand that like our book, the Bible, it's not just like a book of laws that you have to follow. It's a life, you know? It's
Right.
our life. It's the way we live life. Almost every aspect of Israel, the way I think about it, is made to make us better human beings. You know what I mean? So many life lessons can be found in that Bible that are made to specifically help you reach your best in terms of almost every single aspect of life, relationships especially. It has like we just discussed, it has methods on how a child should be raised and nurtured, and it has methods on how relationships should work. I think we've had plenty of lessons on this of how unconditional love isn't something that exists in Israel. It's conditioned love. You have to have
Yeah.
truth, guidance, honesty. I can't
Honesty.
love you no matter what. If you're doing all sorts of mess, you have
Right.
to show your love. You have to be truthful and loyal to me. Like
Mhm.
that's the same relationship we see with our nation and the God of Israel, and that's the same kind of relationship we should try to emulate. Not even just with your future partners, just with your brethren in general. That's the same kind of love that we should all have together. You know.
Cooking the pot.
That's
Yeah.
Levi.
That was it right there. You got to throw the fires on the service for that one.
Drop
That
the
just
feathers,
moved.
drop the fires, please. Burn up the chat. Burn it up. Because Levi just brought it home, man. Levi just brought it home. All right. I do want to highlight Rachel's comment though, because it did catch my eyes. I want to find it again. Yes, relationships become so much more meaningful when you can both serve and call upon the same God. Yes, and it's just so much easier. You know, your spirit is at rest when you know that your significant other is serving the same God as you.
Yeah.
All right.
You're at one. You're together.
Yep, absolutely.
And
All
like
right.
even when I think about, I'm sorry, but just
No,
another
keep going.
connection
Keep going.
comes
What
to
you gonna
mind
say?
is Job. Job's wife wasn't at one with Job when all that chaos was going on. She said, "Oh, renounce God, give him up." You know what I mean? Do you know how much harder that probably made it for him to have your own wife say, "You should just stop, give up on this"?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, can you imagine how much it would help to have a partner with you, the person you love, your own wife saying, "I'm right here with you. I'm gonna struggle with you.
Keep going. Keep
with
going.
you."
You know? Yeah.
Exactly. That's the kind of partner you want. That's the ideal partner, you know?
I
Someone who's
mean,
gonna
if
take on
he
that
was
burden with you.
I don't know. If he was like best friends with something that happened to Job, like you gonna stand right next to him?
I mean, he did have his friends with him. He did have his
I
friends
don't know,
with him.
man. I feel like there's too many bad things. I don't know. I'm gonna pray somewhere else.
I mean,
And that's so if you Job,
Yeah, that's
you
fair.
want to make sure that exactly. So the fact that his wife put him to that situation is that's intense. You know, that those are intense moments. But those are the moments, the back against the wall moments that really define who you are.
Mhm.
You know, those moments always define who you are and what you stand on.
like it's an extreme situation, but like still, it's
Yeah.
like you're gonna face struggles, and in those times, you're gonna want a partner who's gonna be like, "I'm gonna be right here with you, standing on business, 10 toes down." You know,
Yeah,
that's how I.
Yeah.
That's my ideal partner.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Great points. Great points that we have. All right. If we can move on to the next slide, please. All right. So here we have the ongoing agenda. So this is an extreme example of not the regular example that we face as young men or whatnot, but this is the agenda that they are pushing for young ladies, young women, to be this lifestyle with tattoos, piercings, things like that. And this is the exact opposite that our God teaches us to glorify and to look for in a woman, right?
Mhm.
You may see some familiar faces here or not, who knows.
And like even when I think of like what you see in the media and how what's pushed on the black woman is like all these stereotypical ideas of what a black woman should be, like angry, aggressive, loud.
Mm.
It's just like no, like
Yeah. And I
that's
think
why
it's
it's
very
for me. I can't watch like that because you're just mocking my people, really.
and I think it's very I think oftentimes sad, and it gets sad for sure. But I think it's sad sometimes because when you really just looked at everything that we just read, right? And you look at like, oh, what when you really like take that power, but you apply it and you have a culture and you have your family, it can be something so rich and beautiful. But because of the situation that we're in like post enslavement, it's like it's kind of sad because you just really see like, damn, we don't have it together. Like we don't got it together, you know? Like it really is no guidance, you know? There's generally no guidance, not just like the Drake song. There's really no guidance. Like no guidance going on in the communities. There's really no leadership. And I think that is like, and then the leadership that is promoted, it's not of us. It's not like it's the ones that are promoted are the ones that would sell the most, or the ones that were encourage a lifestyle that's going to increase this brand percentage, and none of it has to do with the upliftment of our own selves, you know. And I think that is like that's the piece that's sad, because it's just the fact that it's like, damn, if we had our own, you know, like I bet if you look back, how long has it been, you know, since the like, I mean, of course we have Israel and we know our spirituality is the answer, right? Spirituality is the answer because that's the only way that we're gonna come to that unity that we need.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, even like how long ago was even like the civil rights era and all the stuff that we fought for in that way, or like almost like when you're thinking about a direction, even on the basic sense of at least knowing what is good and bad, that has now been completely flipped and, you know, burned, you know. So I think it's just we're seeing this trajectory that is like it's scary. It's scary.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. I see we have a question from yes, Dexter Parker, Elder Dexter. It says, you make a great point in talking about how special the Israelite woman. Why do you think it has been so easy for some to look outside of our great Israelite nation for a woman? I think it also has to do with the last slide. It has to do with, you know, we're getting caught up with, you know, appeal to the outward appearance. And let's not act like we're not, you know, it's not like it's, you know, we get caught up, you know, the physical, you know, and I think what we have to get back to, and it's a biblical standpoint of look within the spiritual, and that goes into our next slide. If we can go to the next slide, moderator, Peter 3, Peter 3-6. All right, so it says, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting of the hair and of wearing of gold or of putting on of apparel, but let it be the hidden man of the heart, in which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of great price. For after this manner, in the old time, the holy woman also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. So yes, here it says, let's not worry about the outward appearance, the hair, you know, the gold, the putting the, you know, the different tight, you know, wrestling suits that a lot of the young ladies put on or whatnot, they put on the skims and all that. Let's not get caught up in that. All right. Let's come back to reality. All right. And let's lock in. You know what I'm saying? Because that's only gonna get you so far. You know, it's only gonna get you so far. It's not gonna get past that point of, okay, let's talk about something that's gonna, you know, hold weight in the future. That's gonna keep me sleep at night. If you're gonna wear this and have all this on, I know I'm not gonna be able to sleep at night, you know. And
I think of it as like over time, all that gold, all those riches, that's not gonna last. That goes away.
I was about to say that it all fades.
The physical fades, but what's gonna be left is the spiritual. So like, you know, look at someone who's like, can I see myself being with this person for that long? You know,
right?
Will they? Because eventually that fake facade is gonna fade. It's gonna fade.
And who you are, when you look at just your timeline, oftentimes like who you are when you're 16 and how you think and how you look, okay. But then you fast forward to 23, how you think and how you look is gonna starts to change a bit. By the time you are fully matured into yourself, you know, a lot of all the decisions you made, all the way that you think, like by the time you reach a sense of maturity, all that eventually comes to light. Like it doesn't stay hidden, you know. So I just think that's also another thing to, you know, to factor in, that you know, the things that you put your time into and your mind into, it comes to light, you know, it comes to light eventually.
Absolutely. And I also want to, you know, I want our young men to remember that we are a spiritual people. We value the spirit over everything else. So, you know, we have to be careful with who we deal with outside of the nation. and we have to, we gotta, you can't be just, we gotta be focused,
Mhm. And I
Anything
think
else?
Um, I have something to say. um, I mean, I guess I'm fine. Like, like, yeah, don't focus on the outward appearance, But I feel like, it needs to be presentable, Like, I feel like, yeah, wear whatever you want to wear. But I feel like the substance that's the issue. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, don't be going out here and saying, what do you bring to the table? Like, you can have like a decent conversation, like how they make decisions or how they even think about certain things. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, and like, especially when you date, when you're not trying to date someone that's inside the nation, of course. Like, I feel like that's really important. Like, what kind of substance, what how they think,
Mhm.
what are you even open to, like, to the word? What
Mhm.
I feel like you can easily have that, or learn that by somebody with a conversation or a conversation or two.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I just feel like because like the way I'm kind of understanding is like you don't want someone who's I guess has a fake personality or something like that, you know?
Mhm.
Mhm.
You kind of just want someone who you can have those honest conversations or talks with,
Yeah.
someone who
Yeah.
you can feel like you can relate to on a deep personal level.
And I
And
think
also,
that goes back to what you said before, Levi. The whole idea of like honesty being that, like being the bridge of that literally is that makes Israel what it is. Israel lives in truth. So if you can't do that with your partner, then something is clashing.
exactly,
Right.
like it's not so
Yeah.
much like I got a checklist I need to do, but like, hey, who are you under all that makeup? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Who are you?
Am I good?
Yeah.
Am I comfortable being with that person? That's the way I
Mhm.
just.
Mhm. And I
Yeah,
think that scripture is really, it really does. I think the scripture, it's not, I don't think it's focused on the physical thing. I think the whole point of the scripture is like it doesn't matter. Even if she has all those things, she could look gorgeous and have all the things on the inside as well.
Right.
It's not like a give and take thing. I just think
Mhm.
the scripture is telling us to that is not the most important thing to consider,
It's just in
because we know
general.
as men, we are naturally think that way. Like we not like we don't you don't have to tell us that. And
Yeah.
the women know that already too. So you don't have to tell a woman to stop. She knows what's going on. So it's not about that at all, though. That's not the conversation. The conversation is spirit to spirit. Who are you? Who am I?
that,
And why would we conversate? So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also wanted to spotlight some comments from Rachel that says, but with Israelite women, you get the best of both worlds, spiritually and a nice outward appearance. Of course, we have some beautiful, beautiful, stunning, beauty beyond rubies women in this nation.
mhm.
I understand
Ladies,
for it. I
aunties,
understand.
mothers, everyone. Put some fire in the chat for our beautiful women in this
Amen.
nation. Round of applause as well. Fire in the chat. Sevens. Let's big ups
Run
to
it
our
in.
women.
Mhm.
Hit the like button too.
All right, all
And
right.
subscribe if you know you're beautiful. Hit subscribe.
Absolutely. And subscribe. All right, if we can go on to our next slide. I think we're
All,
doing a
all,
great
all the pretty ladies type 7, like 3 sevens in the chat.
thing. All right. Now
Six
is uh this is okay, so little background on this. Find a way to protect your seed. Young men, find a way to protect your seed. All right. So if y'all are not familiar with this young lady, her name is Krishan Rock. Some of us know of her against our will. Some of us don't.
I
But
guess not
sadly,
really. It's crazy.
sadly, we do know of her. And all right, so to move on, Krishan Rock, just to give some background, she's dating some rapper. She had a baby. Um, as you see in the third picture, she's in the club drinking, could be liquor, could be anything, anything of that nature. But this is why we need to protect our seed, because this is the agenda that they're pushing. This is the outside. This is people that is not raised in this nation. People that doesn't care about the baby that they're having, not cultivating a good spiritual situation. Our women know. Everyone in the nation knows. If you're pregnant, if you're having a baby, you need to be in a you need to be put up, you need to be in the house in a calm, quiet environment. to cultivate a good spiritual foundation for that baby, for that child.
And
Yeah.
what I think of when I kind of see this is like, I feel like these people that were against these heathens, these Egyptians, that spirit that is out to get us, even going back in the days of old Egypt, it was targeting the men of Israel. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
targeting the men. And the best way to do that is through the women and the seed. Because to me, that woman, that's the person who's raising your baby. That's the person who's supposed to teach them the values. It's almost like the heart of the family, really. So you want to take out this man who is the protector, who's acts as that like representation of strength. You go for that woman, and you go for that seed, you go for that child. So that's the way I'm seeing this and understanding that. It's you want to make sure that you find an equally strong partner who's able to not be influenced by that outside spirit or outside force. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Also, I like to make a point. A little sidebar. It goes both ways. Of course, it goes both ways.
And yeah,
Like, you don't want to have no one wants to be with a goofball. Like in that situation, they both were stressing each other out, and like no party was right.
Yeah.
No
No, yeah.
party to that result. So that, and also like protecting your seed, like peace is priceless.
Right. Yeah.
Peace of mind, Lord. But man, peace is priceless. Peace of mind. You want to make sure that partner, man or female, Israelite man or Israelite woman, just have a nice common ground to come together. Yeah, we're trying to have family together. We need to have something to build. We need to have a foundation because, yeah, I'll agree. Men are the symbol of strength, and we can say the foundation. But I mean, what can you not say about the women too? They get foundation in the household. They give them the building blocks of the child. In the womb, taking out the womb to the weaning. And then teach them how to read. Like they're the first teachers as well.
Exactly.
So like both is both. It shouldn't be just one. I just want to make sure that point is clear. That's all.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I wanted to stress this fact again for the young men. This is an extreme example. This is someone that is being completely careless to her child. But I just want to make sure that you should my point is protect your seed. Be careful who you deal with. If you're going to deal with someone outside of Israel, which I do not, I don't recommend, but because the ideal situation is for you to deal with someone inside the nation to ultimately grow this nation, to expand it, and so we can teach our children.
And then
So
even just jumping off on that, like dealing with women outside of the nation, like it's not impossible, but you have to go in the mindset that that's gonna take a lot of the work and devotion. Like
right,
I think we're gonna get to it later. Samson, he's out here dealing with Delilah. He didn't put any work to try and get Delilah to his side. She was just going along, being tagged by the rope like a dog. Just following what she was telling her and all that mess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to understand it has to be effort because outside the nation, they're used to Christmas, Halloween, Easter, Thanksgiving, and you're here telling them, yeah, no, we can't do none of that. You're expecting to give up everything for you. So you have to understand that's a lot of work doing that. So I kind of want to stay in the nation if you're not prepared to do that. That's what I do.
Right.
And that's where the value in yourself is so important. Because there's like almost in your brain, you have to know your value to understand that, you have to know, like, I have to move this way. This is the direction that God has put before me,
Exactly.
And if you are along that direction, beautiful. But if you are not, then I'm sorry,
Right.
So,
As long as you stay on that direction, you're gonna end up in a good spot. The God of Israel takes care of his people.
Absolutely. Great discourse, fellas. Great discourse. We have a question. We have a question from Naomi Blair. As Israelite men, what are the values and characteristics Israelite men should have in relationship with Israelite women? We're gonna get into that in a minute, but yeah, we're gonna get into that. Hold on to that question. I appreciate that, Naomi Blair. We will get into that in just a minute. All right. Great discourse so far from our young lions. I appreciate everyone that's still tuned in, enjoying this discussion. If we could go on to our next slide. All right. Judges 14, 1 through 4. And Samson went down to Timnath and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and his mother and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me to wife. Then his father and his mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren or among all my people that thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines? And Samson said unto his father, Get her for me, for she pleaseth me well. But his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord that he sought an occasion against the Philistines, for at the time the Philistines had dominion over Israel.
Now, this is interesting because of the word choice in verse 3, where it says, Is there never a woman among daughters of brother? It's almost like he was consistently doing this, like, seriously, I guess.
Out of all people,
out of all the people, it has to,
you can't ever pick one from Israel.
The word never is like very interesting,
right?
And then, of course, how Samson replies with, "She pleaseth me well." So, what do you think he's looking at, the spiritual or the physical with that line?
Definitely, I'm willing to bet my house is the physical. So yeah,
and I think another piece of this is that in the very last verse, it does address the fact that it's in the God of Ritual's plan in some way, and the parents don't know this. So I think it's also interesting that it's not like it's the end of the world or anything.
Right.
It's just, okay, it's not ideal, not the end of the world, but at the same time, yeah, exactly. It's a little head scratch. But at the same time, it also shows the culture, because it shows that it's a representation that his choosing is not ideal. It's a representation because the mom and dad is very aware of the Israelite customs and of the Israelite standards. So his choices are clearly, going in or are against that. So it's also shows that as well. It's in there too.
Absolutely, great point. Let's move on to our next slide. If y'all don't mind. Judges. All right, Judges 16.
Can I read?
Yeah, you got it.
And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. And the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. And Delilah said to Samson, Tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. And she said unto him, How canst thou say, I love thee with thine heart, when thy heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and that hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth. And can I just say real quick, what I'm going to point out is how we said earlier, Delilah is a person outside, so she's devoted to her culture.
Exactly.
So when you're looking outside, these women, that's their lifestyle. So if you're trying to pull them, that takes a lot of work. These elders, these are people she's probably listened to, grown up under. These are people she knows personally who have been affecting her life. So you're expecting her to completely change her way of thinking. For you, that's a lot of work that goes into that. And on top of that is what I find, I guess, ironic. I hope I'm using this right, as how she says, you want to love me, but you don't want to pour out your heart and trust me. Once again, trust. You can't have love without trust. That's kind of being twisted against him. But you can't have love without trust. Both sides.
Absolutely. And then the fact that, I like how you pointed that out, because that's where her loyalties lie, with her people. So, she's already plotting against him. And that's what we as young men have to see that as well. Just because, you're caught in the physical or caught with what she's saying, you got to figure out what things like for what it is, because it gets that deep. We're spiritual people. It gets that deep. It's not It's not something to take for granted, you know.
Mhm.
And you got to know, just because you don't think they're not physically plotting on you, but the spirit is. The spirit is for sure. So that's what we
Mhm.
have to watch out for.
Mhm.
All right.
It was very cunning of her because she's flipping his admiration for her and then like being like, okay, well, if you really love me, you know? And I think that's a very cunning way, you know, for that to happen. But you know, that's one of those things. And when you think about even the Philistines against Samson, it's like they really could not stop him. Like they tried every physical means, like, and he like literally would physically lift up an entire city and like drop it on like on some like just crazy. So it's like they literally cannot get to this man no matter what they do. And like, so it's just very interesting that sentence can break a man. Like that's insane. Like, but this one girl says this one sentence and it entices your spirit to there's a little twist to it to where now you are now more vulnerable, like literally from that. And it's so I think it's a lesson because oftentimes your emotions can steer you and you end up off the path and you don't even know how you got off the path.
Exactly.
You're like, I swear I was just on the path. I swear I was just on the path. But then you see some crazy walk by and now you off the path.
Yeah, something that
You have
triggers
no
it.
idea how you got there.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Also, I like to add, you know, I'm curious. I haven't read Samson in a while. I'm curious, like, if he was like how old he was during this story, because I feel like I don't know, like he may have been like immature for the time. You know, like not all the critical thinking was there at that moment of time. Because
That's
really,
what
the story you're like the evil plan right there. You just ignored it.
But it
that's
was
what I
crazy
feel
though
like.
because he
Yeah.
actually, I mean, I think he was young, but despite that, he's able to battle complete armies by himself.
Mhm.
So there's definitely it's not like he's a completely immature. There's his brain is developed enough to to know what's coming at him. You know, it's
Right.
developed enough.
You think he was arrogant?
I think we kind
I
of like.
think it can happen at any age. I don't think it's a maturity thing. I think it's one of those things where you're never safe from it. You know, like even when you think about Solomon, why? I mean, we talk about him all the time, right? Wisest man to ever live. So you talk about maturity. It's like, okay, if maturity was on a scale of 0 to 100, you have someone like Solomon who's maybe maturity is on 1,000, right? So it's just a scale we've never seen. Even on that scale, can still be blindly led away, you know, and to do things that you're not supposed to partake in. So I don't think there's ever a safety net. There's no amount of strength. There's no amount of maturity. There's no amount of lessons. There's no amount of like teachings to prepare you for the actions that you have to take to stand on what you believe in. There's nothing that can prepare you for it besides what is in here.
Right.
Even like jumping off of that, what I kind of think just what Samson's mindset was, because like we discussed this a little bit earlier when we were planning in the planning phase of this, but like this is a strong guy, you know, he's out here single-handedly taking down armies, all about war, you know. I don't think he was ever, you know, ever really understood the power a woman holds like that. I think he was really ignorant to that, or thought, oh, I'm strong, I'm invincible. There's no way this normal woman could even, you know, put me in that kind of position.
Yep.
So he underestimated the power of a woman.
Underestimated. Yep.
So I just say like to our Israelite men, that's something you have to be aware of when you're out there. It's you can't ever underestimate the power of an Israelite woman,
Definitely.
or not even just not Israelite woman, just a
Because
woman
even
in
when
general.
even when you think you got it, like I got it, it's like maybe you don't.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's so easy to walk off that path.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So
No,
all
that's
ages,
a good
you know,
point with the ego side of it. You know, we can't take that for granted. We can't take her conniving words, those words for granted. Let's continue reading through this scripture though. If we can go to the next slide. Oh yeah. And it came to pass when she pressed him daily with her words and urged him so that his soul was vexed unto death, that he told her all his heart and said unto her, there have not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak and be like any other man. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath shewed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. And she said, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he woke out of his sleep and said, I will go out as at other times before and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. And so you can see, and even in the first verse, it says, The soul was vexed unto death. He was conflicted. He was tired. He was sick of it, And we have to, as young men, we have to see these signs. This is a lesson. We have to see these signs. We have to, or we can eliminate the sign altogether by dealing with Israelite women, by dealing with women inside our nation. We wouldn't have to worry about a woman plotting on our demise, And I think this is really important. This is an adamant message, honestly.
And two things.
Soul was vexed unto death is insane.
Right.
Yeah.
Two things, if I could just add on to that. One, I'd like to notice how like Samson, he was lacking in those same qualities that we mentioned with Hannah and sorry if I'm forgetting, but we were mentioning in the previous Israelite woman we were talking about those same qualities. He was lacking in that, the diligence, the devotion to the God of Israel. So once again, kind of referencing Naomi's question earlier, those are the qualities that I feel like an Israelite man should have as well. It goes both ways. You can't expect your partner to be devoted to the God of Israel. You're not going to be devoted to the God of Israel. Like he was being vexed and he just kind of, all right, I'll just give up. It's whatever. No, because that same kind of mentality to me, that goes all the way back to Esau. That same kind of, oh, it's not important. It's whatever, throwing away the birthright.
Right.
No, Israel is always at your forefront. And then what else was I gonna say? Oh man, I think I forgot. It'll come back to me.
Yeah.
Were you gonna add anything, Ezra?
No, I was in agreement. So I was in agreement.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was a good point, Levi. Yes, young men, please take notes and just be advised, of what's coming at you. So let's go on to our next slide, moderator. Let's get through this. Oh, wow. Another checkpoint. Okay. Now we've learned, don't be fooled by the outward appearance. Don't be fooled. Value the inner man, the spirit. The spirit. That's what holds more weight. We are a spiritual people. Protect your seed. And don't underestimate a woman's power. Hands down here says, don't sow your royal oats. If y'all get that from Coming to America. But anyways,
yeah, I got that.
Yeah. So yeah. So don't underestimate a woman's power. All right. Let's go on to the next slide, moderator. All right. Deuteronomy 24:5. Oh man. Does anyone want to read this?
I could read it. Oh, Cameron, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
When a man have taken a new wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall he be charged with any business. But he shall be free at home 1 year, and shall cheer up his wife when she have taken.
This is interesting,
Very interesting.
It's interesting because streets is talking. I've heard the first year of marriage is normally the hardest. That's what they say, and I think it's really important, and it's really funny how the God of Israel has this set up, because the man is supposed to take off of work, don't go to battle. As soon as we get married, don't go to battle. Let me take care of my wife. Let's get this foundation of my marriage in order so she can be happy. Happy wife.
Happy life.
Happy life. You know how it goes. And when you have a happy life, your house is in order. Everything is in order. Like
it's very interesting, as you said when you talked about how the God of Israel works and how he does have all these meticulous ways And sometimes you don't even like, this might be a verse that maybe you read by, you don't see how important it is, but it's very interesting that it's very specifically written in there. Because when, even going back to Naomi's question, as far as, how should Israelite men treat their Israelite women? And here we clearly see that literally written in the culture, in the customs, is that, because of that importance of not only your relationship, but the importance of her spiritual strength as well, and the importance of building that spiritual home, and making sure that as man and woman, you're on the same page. That doesn't just happen, like that doesn't just happen. It requires all the things that Levi was talking about on her end, and requires all the things that Levi was talking about on his end. And then you allow that to, you allow it to be beautiful. Like, you let that grow together, and you allow that bond to create this spiritual home, to create this light, that now this home is it's a light, to the world. It can produce light. So I just think it's very beautiful that that's in there, because as a part of the custom is that after marriage, that you stay with your wife for that year. And that year is so crucial, because now, after that year, you as a man, you have battles to fight, things to do. There's all sorts of stuff going on in the nation. That the wife may have child, the wife may have other duties. And now, as you're doing your duties, in her role, and all the things that she has to do, and me in my role, and all the things that I have to do, we're no longer going to have a confliction, because we understand each other and we're one. So we literally will be able to read the mind and go in and out of each other's spaces with that fluidity. So I just think that's very powerful.
Ezra, I love how you got all that from 2 verses. That's how beautiful the Bible is to me. It's like how we were talking about before. You have to put truth before love, because when you do that, and when you put your God of Israel first, that's when you're gonna find that beautiful bond. He has it written out for you. He knows your path. He knows what's gonna make you the best version of you, how to make sure you have a family, and make sure that family's able to reach its full potential. And that's written within our laws and our culture perfectly to a T. So that's just one thing I just found amazing.
Nice.
Also, I would like to add, I agree with what everybody as far as staying at home, building that foundation. I feel like that I feel like that is really essential. Making that foundation, making because it's in life, there's certain routines and certain things people do day to day, and I feel like it's important to at least get to used to that, because people move in all the time and move out as well, because people have their little habits and stuff. I feel like it's really cool, learning that they're able to do that, especially in the Israelite nation.
Right. Nice. Absolutely. All right. If we can go into our next slide. Great points, man. That was a heavy verse. Ooh. Proverbs 31, 3-23. Does anyone want to get this?
I guess I'll get this one. Okay. Proverbs 31, 3-23. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships, she bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth among the elders of the land. That's poetry.
We got
poetry right there.
That entire scripture is so beautiful,
man. Can we show the scripture again, moderator? I'm sorry. We just gotta dissect this, man, because this is heavy. This is heavy right here.
What was that song that used to be out? Israelite Girl?
Yes, I
Y'all remember that one?
Yeah,
The
yeah, yeah,
classic.
yeah. Not facts. Um, wait,
But
can you
yeah, can you put the verse back up there?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a donation from
Oh,
Tina J. I want to thank you so much. She says Rise is on the rise with this discussion. I want to thank you so much. Shout out to Miss Tina.
thank you, Auntie
Thank
Tina.
you. Appreciate it.
Auntie Tina. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
I got me a whole dub today. Let's go.
Can
All
I just
right.
want to say real quick, I love how it just shows you how all of these amazing qualities of the woman and how she's able to perfectly support her husband in this household. And because of the work she puts in, her husband is known as a great man and is able to sit and communicate with the elders, you know?
Mhm.
That to me is beautiful. It shows that connection perfectly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Like
there's
without a good wife, a good person to support you, what can you do?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
right. And I think
Foundation.
there's 2 points that I want to make for this as well. I think because for some context, this is King Lamel's mother's teachings. This is what she was instilling into her son. And it says, "Give not thy strength unto woman, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings." And you've seen that what we've just talked about with Samson and Delilah. Not did I say Samson and Delilah, or did I mean yeah Samson and Delilah, just like Samson and Delilah. And then also for first, uh, who can find a virtuous woman for her price is far above rubies. That is our Israelite woman. That's our woman, you know. And you've seen that. We've seen that plenty of times, even today. And also, verse 23: Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. That also means for young men. I want y'all to listen. This sitting among the elders, he's known in the gates. That doesn't mean you're not doing anything. You're putting your hands to work for the God of Israel. You know, you don't that you're known in that. It doesn't mean you're an elder, you're a priest, but it also means you're seeing what needs to be done, and you're known for that as well. You know, so I think this is also very powerful, because this yes we're talking about the Israelite woman, but we're also talking about you as well. Like just how I think Naomi asked the question, what are some characteristics of an Israelite man? These are the characteristics, providing. The God of Israel created us in the eyes of I'm sorry, is it the he created us in his eyes, or in his
In his
likeness,
image.
image.
Yeah.
And so in that we want to provide for our family, we want to provide for our wife, in that way. But yeah, this scripture is heavy, man.
Even
Mhm.
adding off what you just said,
I
once
think
once
another thing to add in.
no, go ahead. I've been yapping
What are
too
you gonna say?
much. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I think another thing to add on to that, we talk about made in his image. It's like, okay, it's even the whole idea of like, if it's like that woman literally is your rib, it's like like you treat her with the same respect that you would treat your own rib, the same way you would treat yourself with love and care and respect. That's how you would treat this woman, because she literally is your rib. And I think another thing that I wanted to add was verse 11, when it says the heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he should have no need of spoil. It's like that foundation that they have together. It's like he feels like it's like the safety that they have with each other. It's the fact that he is able to feel that safety with her and feel like I can be the best man that I can be because you are here with me. And I think that is so beautiful. That's what makes the kiss be like, "Mwah, I love you."
Yeah.
That's a really little doubt on it. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jorge.
You're just saying the words out of my mind, bro.
Right.
That's exactly how it is.
Oh, big shout out to Jorge Santos for the $20. I appreciate it. That's
Thank you, man.
round of applause.
Appreciate
Fire in the chat. Sevens, please. Thank you. Oh man. Oh, we have another. What do we have?
Alicia Singleton, shout out for the
Oh,
donation.
we have another donation in the chat. Felicia Singleton, super sticker, $20. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the donation. We highly appreciate it. Highly appreciate it. That will not go unnoticed. We had a comment. I believe we can go back to it. I'm sorry. Thanks, Jeremiah, Ezra, Cam, and Levi for my going back through time before knowing I'm in Israel. I am Israel going forward. There's time for me to be the best Israelite man I'm supposed to be. Amen. There's still time. It's a battle. It's a daily battle. We have to become. You have to pray to the God of Israel to be the best servant, the best man that you can be, the best son, the best brother. Always, we always got to be better for ourselves, do better for ourselves. And yes, that scripture was heavy. Do we have any other comments regarding that scripture? Because I know there's a lot in there, but there's a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, another thing I was gonna add was the fact that we talk about how, the man's working. It's like the scripture is about she's doing what she got to do too. Like she's doing it, and
Right.
she's not just doing it. There's not her heart is not filled with selfishness, but she's
Right.
doing what she has to do, and she's making sure that the people around her are good. So she
Right.
she has her own social circle, her own dynamic, her own things that are important to her that she has to take care of, and she's doing that. And in the meantime, he's doing the things that he needs to take care of. He's with the elders doing whatever they got to do. So it's just a beautiful dynamic of both parties doing what they have to do and coming together, and that being even more beautiful. And there's a trust there, there's love there, there's faith there. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It is definitely a beautiful dynamic when the foundation is Israel, is the God of Israel. And we both have that commonality. All right. If we can go to the next slide. I mean, sheesh, that Proverbs 31 was heavy, man. That might have been the banger for the night, man. I ain't gonna lie. All right. So, in conclusion, why we must love, court, and marry Israelite women. This is the synopsis, guys. Uh, Women are the child's first teacher. We need our children to be well equipped with this rich culture in order to grow this nation. Um, Being with an Israelite woman is good for your spirit. We just seen that in Proverbs 31. We just seen it. You know, we just
Mhm.
Israelite woman won't turn you away to other gods. That's you've seen that with Solomon. You've seen that with Solomon. You know, he did a lot of things. Did a lot of things. He was the wisest. He was the wisest, but he did a lot of things when it came to the women, and he followed those women, and those following those women took him to graven images and all that, man, all that. So being with an Israelite woman, you don't have to worry about that. Come on, lock in, lock in. And our last point, you won't find a woman as spiritually, physically rich as an Israelite woman. Honestly, come on, guys. I mean, they can't compete where they can't compare, you know?
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
If I
So
had
yeah.
one thing I also just wanted to say before it ends,
Yeah.
remember Israelite women are rubies. They're
Mhm.
precious. They're beyond rubies, all right? So remember that in mind. You're not gonna find anyone else out there like an Israelite woman. That's not to say you can't find that partner outside of Israel. Like you can't find, it's not impossible to find, your Ruth out there. But remember, it takes work to turn that coal into a diamond. It's gonna take a lot of work. So don't be like Samson, all right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But you can avoid all that if you just remember we have people in here who are beyond anything you can imagine. The perfect partner. You just gotta make sure you're paying attention.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bar right
I agree. Those are bars.
Do we have any more closing remarks before I
there.
close?
That's the bar.
Do we have any more closing remarks before I close?
Appreciate everybody. It's my first time. It was a nice, fun time. Glad I always have able to talk about Israelite women.
Yes, of course, of course. And I just want to stress the fact that the importance of being with an Israelite woman. Let's not let's not take that for granted. We have a plenty of beautiful Israelite women, and we must take advantage of the fact that we need to grow this nation and do that accordingly to God's laws. I want to thank everyone for attending our Friday night lesson tonight from this young lion perspective. I really appreciate it. I want to thank you. Make sure to like, comment, share, donate, of course, to our YouTube channel, and also don't forget to attend our Saturday's message hosted by AIJ TV at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I want to thank you. My name is Jeremiah from Atlanta branch, Ezra, Cameron, Levi, and I bid you peace and blessings. Peace.
Peace.